everyone. I'm Allison. Thank you for joining me for Where I'm From 254 with Cassandra. What have you been reading? I just read this beautiful memoir, Brother Epistles by Shonda McManus. It is about her brother, Monier, who died from gun violence. And it's a series, as the title will tell you, the book is a series of letters to her brother, Monier. And I just, as a person who's lost a brother, it was and vulnerable book about race and class and loss and how little space there is for grief in our society, all kinds of grief. And I was lucky enough to be in conversation with her and Tanya for Femon, and that episode I think will be coming next month. And Cass, I'm inviting you, and you're probably requesting to join. And so far, it's not doing anything, but it will. And also, I brought this book because my guests today were both in it. This wonderful book, No Contact, edited by Jenny Bartoy. I sorry, I'm trying to get Cassandra unable to join. Sometimes it says that if it says it if you're not on your phone, but sometimes it says it just anyway. So we'll try a couple more times, and then I'll stop and we'll start over so that people don't need to watch this. Not that this isn't wonderful. But this book is wonderful, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. Aha!
I'm so sorry. I
Don't apologize. And it's nothing you're doing. It's just Instagram doing whatever it's doing. It's not
I'm
you.
glad we connected. Thank you
Me
so much.
too. I'm thrilled. It's been so fun, even just emailing with you and reading your poems. You are such a lovely email correspondent. You are like just so enthusiastic and kind, and I'm just like, oh, it's another wonderful email
Oh, well,
from.
thank you so much, Faith. This is really special. I love what you have created, and I've really enjoyed hearing the past participants create poems. And it
Yeah.
even inspired me to bring it into one of my creative writing classes. I said, look, I'm trying to learn how to do it. Why don't you try it too? It's a really wonderful experience.
I'm so glad to hear. It was funny too. I was just talking about this book that I read, Brother Epistles by Shonda McManus, which is a memoir about its letters to her brother, who died from gun violence. And she was saying that she is teaching a narrative medicine class and was about to use this prompt in a narrative medicine class. And I was introduced to the prompt in a narrative medicine class. So it was,
Oh, wow. Oh, I
yeah,
love the full circle.
I know. It was a funny, like, well, hopefully it will affect your students. I mean, it was such a big, obviously it changed my life. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I think I've been and I have this book too. I showed this book that we're both in that
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
very proud to be in.
dude.
Uh,
Jenny, I love you.
yes, Jenny, thank you. My God, what an amazing woman. Um, I, um, I've always been really interested in where people are from. And I think it is tied to trying to understand my own um, complicated feelings about where I'm from, because I'm from like a very upper class, like fancy life where people are like, "Oh, you're so lucky," And yet I was trying to always, I didn't feel lucky, and I didn't really feel like that was the full story. And so I think many of us, for a multitude of reasons, feel similarly. Um, like, well, it's not just that, it's also this. And so this has been very validating for me because you do get some poems that are just like, it was great, I loved every minute, but most people
Yeah,
are wrestling with something.
exactly. I think it's so interesting because this poem is a great portal into the complexities that people are faced with. I mean, personally, I've always found that question daunting
Yeah.
when you meet someone and they're like, so where are you from? And I think, oh no. Because I've lived in so many places.
Mm-hmm. You
Not,
have.
so in one respect, it's nice that I got to live in so many places. And the upside to that is I've been able to meet a lot of wonderful people and made a lot of friends over the years in many different places. But the other side to that, when you're just meeting someone and they ask you where you're from, it for me is associated to all this turmoil, and you don't want to talk about that when you're just meeting someone. So, I'll pick like a place and talk about that, but then it's true, but it's not the entire story, So,
And did you struggle with, because I'm curious, because also a question like that is how many siblings do you have, which is
yeah,
if you've lost a sibling or no contact with a sibling, I am at both. It's a complicated answer, and for so long I felt bad,
right.
like, oh, my answer is complicated. That reflects on the rottenness of me, like
Yeah,
as if having a simple answer automatically makes you good, and if you have a complex answer it automatically makes you bad. So I would feel that shame too, of like, oh, I should have a good answer.
that's exactly it. It's a sense
Hmm.
of shame. There's this unspoken social pressure
Yeah.
that we have to fit our lives in these neat little boxes that
Yeah.
just I find impossible to fit
I, I think a lot of people do, and I think that has been the thing about this experience is, because you don't have these conversations at a party, because that's
right.
not how it's built to work. But so for these are the conversation I want to have, because it's helped me. It just helps me to speak about things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting about what you're doing with your show is you're opening up the conversation and you're getting everyone to think about this, to think
Mhm.
deeply about it. And something I found really interesting is you can take this same poem and think about your life from a different angle, like looking
Mhm.
at you're looking at it from a different angle. Okay, I'm going to concentrate on this aspect
Yeah.
and come up with a completely different poem. And
Yeah.
so that also speaks to the complexities and just how interesting the experience is and how meaningful it can be, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, and you had two poems that you sent me. I mean, speaking to that, so it was I anyway. You can talk about that before you read your poem if you'd like.
It was very nice of you to read two poems by
Oh,
me, especially considering I
I'm
am.
happy to.
But yeah, so when I first attempted to write a Where I'm From poem, I was thinking about home and, kind of how I created this space where I live now that I'm so happy with. But it came from, living in fear for most of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Um, and then I thought more about, I've been thinking about my mother a lot, from whom I'm estranged. I wrote about in Jenny's anthology, um, No Contact, which is wonderful.
Your
Um,
essay Mother's Day, and that I think circles back too to that thing of feeling like you need to have the right response. Mother's Day is such a
yeah,
laden with a
right.
lot holiday. Sorry, it just
No,
feels like it's all related to.
holidays we have, when you go to the movies, there's always reunification at the end.
Yeah.
Every have this really unrealistic arc that flattens the emotional realities of what many
Yeah.
people are going through. And that's
Mhm.
the reasons why Jenny Bartoy's collection has been really a wonderful thing to be a part of. I'm so honored to have my work
Same.
with so many other great writers.
Hmm.
And your piece, Allison, is so powerful and just
Thanks.
gorgeous, just gorgeously written. But what's so great about this, having this space, is opening that conversation and reminding people that, we are complex individuals, our dynamics are complex, and it's okay when we have to create boundaries.
Yeah.
Um, and that more than one thing can be true. You can create a boundary to save your life, and you can also feel very deeply and feel all of the grief that is involved with being estranged. That both things can be true, and multiple things are true simultaneously. And that's what I love about these kinds of conversations, is it is allowing a space for the complexities that are often left out of stories. They're trimmed out of narratives. You know, it's too complex. Let's have a nice, simple arc. You know?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. And do you feel, because this is something I also feel that is not talked about, is even if, imagine reunification, the person that I had a relationship with no longer exists.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not even because of, I mean, because of drug and alcohol use and all the mental illness and all of these things. There's not even a person there that I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, and I
Exactly.
don't think people talk about that really.
No, you're absolutely right. That's something I've been thinking about a
Yeah.
lot. You know, my mother, from whom I was estranged, passed away a year ago. And while I know that I did the right thing by creating that boundary where I said, look, you need to take responsibility for your behavior. You need to get treatment. And if you do that, I will be open to having a
Right.
relationship.
Hmm.
But it never happened. And
Right.
then she passed away. And I think that part of the grief of dealing with her loss is also grieving the fact that that never happened. I
Yes.
always had this kind of secret hope that
Yeah.
perhaps would change in this way that I needed her to in order to be safe.
Hmm.
You know, and so I think a
Hmm.
lot of people who are dealing with estrangement, which is not an easy decision, but it's
No.
often a very necessary decision. People don't go through with this unless it's absolutely necessary.
Hmm.
Often not, and you write about this beautifully in your essay, it's often not a clear, this one thing
Right.
happened and then we're estranged. It's often a tug of war over time. And, you know, because you're creating boundaries, and sometimes people respect those boundaries and sometimes they don't. And sometimes you try again and create a new boundary. And that is the reality of a lot of people's experience
Yeah.
with attachment, I think.
You write about that really like viscerally for me. I felt I was in there with you, and that I'm like almost about to cry talking about it. Like I felt like I was in there with you when you were hiding from your mother, and that feeling of beginning to choose yourself.
Yeah,
Like I don't need to live like this. I
right.
and the only person who can help me not live like this is me. And
Exactly.
and how scary and lonely that can be. And I like, which I find myself doing with my own younger selves, but I felt when I was reading your essay, like I wanted to reach out to that younger version of you and say, you're gonna make it,
Oh, thank you.
you know, because we didn't know.
Yeah, you don't know. It's very scary when you're going through it. And again, that societal pressure where
Hmm.
there's so much shame, where, oh, it's your blood, it's your
Yeah,
family. You
yeah.
have to just let anything go. Well, no,
Hmm.
you really shouldn't. You really need to do what's right to protect yourself. And often it's a matter of survival. You need to survive.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can't, you know, people do change. Everybody has the capacity to change. And I think allowing space for that is part of being human and being, you know, trying to be open to that. You don't have to, you can just create the boundary, but, you know, that is part of it. And that is what kind of makes it complex is, you know, allowing for that space. And then what do you do if it does happen? You know, I often think, well, you know, it would have been nice if, you know, to reconnect in that way. Although I've been very fortunate, you know, there's so many wonderful people, friends, family. I write about my stepmother in the
Yeah.
essay. She's my sunshine. When she came into my life as a teenager, I mean, she really
Yeah.
saved my life in a lot of ways. And of course, my brother, who came into the picture later, we're very close. And, you know, and other, you know, cousins and all kinds of people in my life. And, you know, friends, Jenny Bartoy and Jenny's mother, as a matter of fact, is
Oh.
a very part of my life and my family. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
grateful.
lovely.
I'm grateful for the connections that I've made, even though I've had to cut.
Yeah.
That's very significant.
Yeah. Those are real. I think those connections, we're going to get to the poem. I promise everyone.
Oh,
I
sorry.
think those connections come from speaking and
Yeah,
knowing ourselves and share. Like, I do think I, I felt a lot of shame, and I would just sort of, when I was younger, like, I would say little things because I was trying to explain myself, or um be honest about myself. But it's hard to make genuine relationships when they're coming from that place. And I definitely struggled with connecting with people genuinely or authentically, or because I wasn't fully showing up as myself.
exactly. Right. You're not fully showing up as yourself, and it can be very alienating.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's an ongoing process, and I try to give my younger selves as much grace as possible. We were all are
Absolutely.
just
Yeah,
doing your best. But
exactly.
I just anyway, thank you for writing your essay and sharing it. And because I do think there is such an emotional tie to our mothers, and I that is a unique, and I think that is the one that society is the most like, oh, but she's your mom.
Yeah, exactly. It is probably hard to
Yeah.
understand. But I've been surprised by all the people who've come out and told me privately, I have a similar,
Oh yeah.
and it just shows you
Yeah.
how common this is.
Yeah.
Um, and and that's why it's an important conversation, I think, to be had.
Mhm. I agree. So thank you, Jenny Bartoy.
Yes,
Yeah, I keep trying to be like, we should celebrate some.
yeah.
Maybe we can get her to celebrate. Like, we should be. She's like, wait until, and there's always something. And I'm like, no, we should.
I think you're right. I think we should absolutely. I'm always
Yeah.
celebrating.
Yeah. Cause I'm like, we have to do it along the way. Like,
Exactly.
and this is something I'm learning myself, right? Like, you can't just, we got to celebrate along the way. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's such a good point.
Okay.
Love that. Yeah,
So maybe together we can
yeah.
get her
Let's
to
do that.
celebrate. Okay.
I like.
All right. So your poem
Oh
that you're
yeah,
going to read today is related to your mother, right? That was sort of
yeah,
the journey that you went on with it.
yeah. If that's okay, I'm gonna
Of
I'm gonna
course.
one that I wrote in her memory.
Hmm.
Died a year ago, and it's been an interesting grieving process. Um, so
Yeah.
okay, where I'm from, for my mother, 1 year after her death. I am from your collection of nutcrackers, from Capezio and Underwood Typewriter. I am from all the hours you waited for me to practice and rehearse. From the colorful holiday flags you planted outside, Halloween was your favorite, your costume and cackle the talk of the town. I am from the palm tree I hugged in California as a child, to the palm trees in Arizona that provided you shade and the hope of someday having a home. I am from Bunting and Kelechava, from denial and trying to get better without treatment, from violent mood swings and creative brilliance. I am from imaginary voices mistaken for gods, from origins unknown until recently, underscoring my love for Yeats and Lorca. I'm from stuffed bell peppers and beef stroganoff, from summer corn and sliced salted tomatoes. I'm from your quest to find a home, relentlessly searching for what doesn't exist. I, like the juniper, willing to cut off its limb to survive drought, did what I had to do. But you are still alive in my regret and in my love of who you were at times and who you didn't have the chance to be. Thanks.
That last line is a real gut punch. Uh, because I feel like many of us can have people in our lives like that. And I think particularly women
Yes.
um, in our lineage that did not either because of a myriad, but mental illness. I think specifically for me and you, my maternal grandmother died young from um, mysterious circumstances. And your mother, did she have a diagnosis?
She did. She was diagnosed with manic depression before it
Oh
was
yeah, back in the day.
later turned into, or is now called bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And she had psychotic episodes as well as
Hmm.
outbursts.
And she didn't. And she like. I mean, this. I feel like it was so common in our generation to not want to take them meds.
Yeah, and I can see why. I mean, there's been a
Hmm.
lot of, mental illness still to this day is something that people have a hard time talking about.
Yeah.
And that's been years in the making. I feel like things are starting to get a little bit better with people talking about it. But back in the early 80s, when my mother was first dealing with this, there was a lot of stigma,
Yeah.
and also, and this is something I'm writing about, her mental illness was criminalized, and I
Yeah.
think that's what started to corrode um, how she felt about getting treatment, because she did
Hmm.
treatment in the beginning, but she would
Hmm.
feel better and she would go off her medication
Yes.
and the cycle would start all over again.
Yes.
But I think it was when she was arrested and
Yeah.
badly beaten during this arrest
I'm so
when she
sorry.
started to kind of internalize this shame
Hmm.
and kind of think, you know what, no, this isn't my illness, this is outer issues, which is also true, but she also,
Hmm.
it would have been, she definitely was at her best when she was accepting mental health treatment. And of course, each person should be able to should make the decisions about, when they accept treatment, how they accept treatment. So it's very complicated. But I think when we criminalize
Yeah.
mental health and, any aspect of humanity, that is really not a good idea. And so I think that ended up being very harmful to her process.
I think I can imagine that it would be. And I have a good friend whose mother has schizoaffective disorder, and she had the threat of losing my friend. And that was her sort of brush with the authorities. And it has made her very compliant because
Yeah,
of the fear of that, even
right.
though my friend is grown now. But this sort of like just living with the constant fear of stepping out of line,
Yeah,
and losing your housing, and because all of these things are all
yeah,
linked, right? And um, and it's interesting because I'll ask her, because my friend does a lot for her mother because our society runs on unpaid labor of women. And so she does a lot for her. And I've asked her, oh, well, what would change her life? Like,
yeah.
what do you think would make her feel safe or more free? And we talk about it. It's like, oh, access to healthcare,
Yeah.
um, access to a grocery store that would be nearby for her, public transportation. Uh, and it's like, I keep seeing now people are starting to talk about like, stop talking about self care, and that we aren't doing a good enough job of caring for ourselves. Like, we just actually need the systems to change to provide care for all of us. Um,
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up, and my heart goes out to your friend that's experiencing that. When my mother died, I really started looking into our social safety net.
right.
At first, I thought, well, where was the social safety net? Do we even have a social safety net?
Right.
And yes, actually, we have what could be a very great social safety net. But the problem is that it's never received enough funding, and very recently is getting slashed.
Yes.
Um, so the resources that we do have for people, for health care, for mental health care, and for housing, it's getting slashed. Meanwhile, we're giving, what was it, $70 billion the Republicans just gave to ICE,
I
but
know.
slashing permanent supportive
Mhm,
housing. That's
mhm.
not, that the priorities are completely upside down.
Yes, and creating more private prisons, and I mean, it's all very.
Yeah,
It's so inhumane,
it
the
is.
whole thing, and everyone suffers, because that's also a conversation I've had. I don't know if you know Meg Kissinger, but she writes a lot about her. She wrote a book while you were out about the death by suicide of her two siblings, because of mental illness, and she writes a lot about mental illness and how we, marginalize people with mental illness, and how really we should all be in community together,
Yeah,
and that would be possible with a more robust social safety net, and people,
absolutely.
not living in housing that is, because of course government subsidized housing is often very isolated, um, and off, like, it's not integrated into our communities, and
Right.
yeah, it's just really so. And this also relates to your book, correct? Your
Yeah.
forthcoming.
Well, so yeah, so I have I'm working on a book right now that is looking a little bit about this, about social responsibility and a social safety net. And the good news is that we actually know what can work. We have
Right.
30 years of data
Mhm.
showing that housing first policies work. So that is
Mhm.
actually good news. We
Yeah.
even have a sense of how much it might even cost, which compared to current ways of spending seems like pennies in a fountain.
I know.
So it's actually, there's actually a lot to be hopeful for, especially if we can get leaders
Hmm. Hmm.
prioritize these things. We have the evidence.
Hmm.
Um, so that's what I'm working on currently, which is more of a long-term project. But I have a novel that also deals with social responsibility, but more of a way that deals with humor and
Hmm.
satire.
Humor
Called
is a necessity.
Yeah, exactly. That Camp, was a lot of fun to write, and it's fiction. So Grief Camp is a novel that Santa Fe Writers Project (SFWP) will be publishing in September 2027,
Very
and
exciting.
it's kind of a mystery of consciousness. It's about a woman who inherits a desolate piece of the California desert from her former employer, who was a movie star. And she invites people from all over the place to kind of come out and grieve. She just
Mhm.
kind of notices that everyone is grieving something, but they're
Yeah.
not, things you might expect in this book. You have people
Hmm.
who are hiding out. Um, One of the characters, who's inspired by a friend of mine, um, is hiding out from the federal government. And so he's faked his death. And so he's out there at grief camp, kind of hiding out in the desert. And so you have all these misfits hanging out. And then this monsoon happens, this very unusually strong monsoon that washes out the road. And
Hmm.
right before that happens, a detective has arrived asking about inheritance, which gets at questions about the land and colonization and all kinds of interesting questions, but through the lens of a lot of quirky characters hiding out in the desert.
That sounds wonderful. I'm excited to read it. I think we all are grieving. And I
Yeah,
and I think the pandemic was a mass grief event that we haven't really talked about or processed. And I think it
yeah,
does really affect what's going on in our country right now. Is this, because denial is, we have to create rich mythology to continue to live in denial. And I think we're living in a very
yeah,
disturbing story right now.
we are.
And I, yes, I hope that we can get more comfortable with what we've lost, and um, start to build things like you're saying with your research and your book. And it's there. We can do it.
We can.
Um,
There are a lot
yeah,
of people working on this who've been
yeah,
working for a long time.
I know. Thank
We
you,
have
people.
to be grateful for them, and I want people to hold on to the hope.
Yeah,
We are going through a difficult time, and you're
yeah,
absolutely in denial, but there is certainly hope that we know we have a plan. We just need to get the funding for it.
yeah, yeah. I hope is essential to
Yeah,
just keep us going, and they don't want us to have any.
right.
And so that's a great reason to have hope. Just do it to piss them off.
Exactly. What form of resistance?
Yeah, it is. And I think sometimes we forget because we feel like, oh, that's simple. It's not important. But I mean, it's what got us, it's what got me here was hope.
Absolutely. Me,
So, but your poem was beautiful. And
thanks.
I really, to reflect on loss after estrangement, I think is, because I think that is something that's weaponized a lot. Like, oh, well, what are you going to do when they're gone? And it's like,
Right.
I mean, I, for me personally, with my brother, I'm going to be thrilled because it's not, it's been a long time, and I will feel safer in the world.
Sure.
Um, and there are a lot of people like that in our life right now, where I think many of us will feel safer when they're gone. And and I think you do grieve, like you say, there's never going to be a change in that relationship. Um, for me, I went through that with my father when he was diagnosed with leukemia. I had been estranged from him. We had reconnected. And I realized when he was diagnosed, and that's when I had most of my grief, oh, our relationship's never going to change.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that comes in waves, I think, can come
It
in
does.
waves.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that you went through that, but I think
Yeah.
that you're really identifying that complexity that people go through. Like it's not the simple drawing a line and then
Hmm.
things are different, but what you're grieving is not just the loss of the current relationship, but the loss of what could have been.
Hmm.
And I think that's very real. But it also doesn't take away from the fact, like, I know I did the right thing.
Right.
Um, I know that I needed to protect myself. And then later when I became a mom, to protect my family by
Yes.
essentially living in hiding,
Yeah.
I did that because I had to, but I also am grieving the fact that I had to do that. And I'm grieving the fact that there wasn't a strong enough safety net in these areas that could have helped her.
Hmm.
So these are all kinds of things that we're grieving when we have this kind of loss.
Yeah, and I think we have so much media that's like the deathbed, that you come to an understanding, and that is so rare. If you know any death doulas, or
Right.
like, that is not the typical experience. And I think a lot of people feel like, oh, maybe at the last moment there'll be some, and it's just like, um, maybe not.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's complicated. So thank you for sharing your poem, and that she is a big piece of where you're from.
Yeah, she is. And thank you for the opportunity. I wouldn't have written this poem, and it was helpful to kind of look at that and be able to, remember her uh, in a
Mhm.
in through poetry, which I think
Mhm.
probably would have liked. So
No,
thank you for that.
yeah, my pleasure. My privilege. I receiving people's stories, as you know, because you do a lot of work with receiving people's stories, and um, it's a privilege.
It is. It is. But thank you for this space. It's a beautiful thing that you've created.
Oh, thank you. You're so complimentary in your emails, and I'm like better at receiving compliments than I used to be, but I'm still like, oh, I
You're like, go away.
it's just
I
like, oh, I guess. I mean, I just I'm just doing what I do. So it's just, I just want you to know that like every time I received an email from you, it was like, oh, it was a real like sunbeam. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
That's
yeah, you're putting that out into the world, and
oh,
it's a really special thing to just interact with someone and feel better for it. So I did, and I imagine I'm not the only one. So I wanted to let you know that.
oh, thank you, Allison. Well,
Yeah.
I likewise, I could say the same of you. Thank you so
Well, lovely. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. I'm thankful to Jenny for bringing us into
much.
each other's lives.
Same.
Um, and I feel that way about everyone in the book, and that the book exists. And I would imagine you feel similarly. I would have to be part of something that I wish had existed
Yes.
when I was going through this. It's it's a really like powerful healing moment. It's like,
It
oh,
is.
you know. Uh,
It is. I
so,
love
and it's important
brought
to acknowledge it.
together all-
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, I'm just echoing. I love how she brought together all these important stories. It's such an honor.
It is, and I believe that um, I have to, even if it just helped us, it was worth it. But I believe it is helping other people too, and I that's special. So,
It is.
well, any other last thoughts? This has been a real pleasure. I could continue on.
I know. No, I love what you said about celebration. We'll have
Yeah,
to.
we gotta.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna make an email thread.
I love it. I
With Jenny.
absolutely.
It's peer pressure.
Yes, in a good way.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. So, well, congratulations on your books.
Thank you.
And because I know publishing is so difficult, so I am always applauding people for not only writing their books or proposals, which is a huge accomplishment, but also finding a home for
Thank you.
them. It's no small thing. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a wonderful day. We'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.